11 o'clock. So we're going to go ahead and get this webinar started today. So good morning and good afternoon to everyone out there. Thanks for joining us today for a special Fruition Partners and Blazent webinar entitled Ingredients for a Successful CMDB. This webinar is scheduled for only 30 minutes today, so we'll definitely try to keep the intro light and jump into the content you're here for today. I do want to point out real quick that this webinar is being recorded, so if you have to jump off early for any reason, you'll be able to watch a recording which will be shared with you sometime early next week. Again, we're very excited to be doing a joint webinar with Blazent today. We have two amazing presenters lined up, Eric Farrington from Fruition Partners and Ken Perkins from Blazent. As you can see, both have an abundance of experience when it comes to ITIL, ServiceNow, and most importantly, the CMDB, which is why we're all here today. So Eric, if I could just get you to say a quick hello to everybody out there so they hear your voice.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for your time today. This is Eric.
Cool. So there's Eric. Ken, if you could just do the same.
Yep, good morning and good afternoon to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Ken. So when it comes to webinar participation, we want you to be active. So when a question comes to mind, go ahead and enter it in the question box in the GoToWebinar panel. I'll do my best to pose it to our presenters at the right time. We also have two poll questions today. We'll be launching those on the slides that have a poll icon in the bottom right corner. You can see that icon on the screen here. So be on the lookout for those, and we'll definitely be sure to share the poll results with you in real time. And last but not least, if you have any comments or questions during or after the webinar, you can also tweet at us using the hashtag up on the screen there. So this is it. This is our final intro slide. It just gives a quick overview of Fruition Partners, Blazent, and our partnership. Both companies have a long history of experience in the service management space, so we've been able to accomplish a lot together over the last few years. Basically, Blazent built a one-of-a-kind CMDB data accuracy solution that reconciles and consolidates disparate data sources, and Fruition Partners integrates it with your ServiceNow platform, regardless of your existing systems and processes. So, without further delay, I'm going to pass things off to Eric, who will begin the webinar by talking about CMDB goals. Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Mike. Well, good morning again, everyone. Good afternoon as well. Thank you for your time today. I'd like to start by establishing goals for creating a CMDB. Now, the CMDB is a unified repository for our IT components, the services they deliver back to the business, and the relationships that link the two of those components. The goal of the CMDB is to be the IT source of truth, providing that 360-degree view of IT. Now, the diagram below reflects the concept of a mature CMDB utilizing the ServiceNow platform. The CMDB is the central tool that allows us to manage many data sources, both internal and external. ServiceNow provides the structure to manage this data through our established IT service management processes, such as request, incident, and change management. Now, this approach allows us to maximize both the IT and the business's investment for data and process to work together efficiently. The data managed within the CMDB should be accurate, relevant, and complete. So now that we know what the end goal is, let's address how we can get there. To do this, let's first understand some of the common barriers organizations encounter when building their CMDB. These common barriers apply to both greenfield, meaning starting from scratch approach, as well as a CMDB reboot or a cleanup effort. These common barriers include lack of executive sponsorship. Now, executive sponsorship is often needed to help navigate internal politics to obtain data sources that are needed to populate our CMDB. Another barrier, being reliant on manual processes. When dealing with the waterfall of data that's destined for the CMDB, manual entry is not a good solution. For you and your sanity, automate, automate, automate. As well as lack of standardization. When we are merging multiple data sources, standards must be established in order to align the data in an accurate and repeatable format. You know, on this point, one story comes to mind of a CMDB I recently worked on. The multiple data sources resulted in 31 different inputs to display HP or Hewlett-Packard. Coming from the different input types, they either used H-P, H.P, Hewlett-Packard, lots of variations. So a great way of solving this is applying that standardization, so no matter what the method of input is, it would translate into your standard and is repeatable and accurate through the tool. Now, Mike, I see we have a poll on this slide.
Yeah, we do. Thanks, Eric, for setting that up. So this is our first of two polls today. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that right now. So hopefully everybody can see this on your screen. And the poll question is, unfortunately, I can't view it. So hopefully if Eric or Ken, if you can see the poll question on your screen, if you could read it out loud.
What's been the biggest hurdle you've experienced with your CMDB implementation? 5 choices: executive sponsorship, cross-functional buy-in, managing project scope, data issues, and the last choice is other.
Great. Thanks, Ken, for taking care of that for me.
No problem.
I think for some reason when I'm presenter, I'm unable to see the poll on my screen. So we'll give everybody a few more seconds to vote here because I'm seeing some votes still coming in. We're up to about 65% of you voting, so thanks for your participation. So we'll close it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to go ahead and close the poll. We had 80% vote. Awesome stuff. So here are the results. So 13% of you said executive sponsorship, 18% of you said cross-functional buy-in, 19% said managing project scope, 38% said data issues, and 12% said other. So kind of all across the board there. So again, thanks to the 80% of you who voted, and I'm going to go ahead and hide the results and fire it back to Eric.
Thanks, Mike. So now we've covered some common barriers. Let's get into the good stuff. Let's review some key ingredients for building and maintaining a successful CMDB. So as we run through our list, focusing on key business objectives. Communicate with our internal stakeholders. These are the suppliers as well as the consumers of the CMDB data. So we want to include them as part of that solution to build a strong, accurate data set. Establish milestones. CMDBs can be large and time-consuming. So establishing a plan and how you're going to eat that elephant, and my suggestion, one bite at a time. Setting those milestones, short intervals to display progress and growth and maturity of your CMDB. Expand the scope of the data sources to boost accuracy. The goal is to build the most complete source of truth from multiple data sources. So tiering out and expanding your scope is a great way to control that growth. Automate reconciliation and population. This is the biggest time and sanity saver of creating a CMDB. The tools are available to automate this. My suggestion is to use them. Establish and maintain CI relationships. Now, this is a critical piece to be able to see within your data upstream and downstream impacts affecting your components or the services, especially when a service is lost. Accuracy is key, so developing a closed loop process to resolve data quality issues. Also, obtain analytics and visibly track your CMDB accuracy. Great method to check the work. The goal for the CMDB is to hit that 98 to 99% accuracy mark and stay there. This is a great way to display and report back progress and the success of the CMDB to the business and your IT stakeholders. So when creating a high quality and complete CMDB, this is a major project for any organization. So at this point, let's address why do it, who benefits. A complete CMDB can have immediate impact to the service desk, your IT service management organizations, including IT asset management, license compliance and audits, just to name a few. The data managed in your CMDB is also critical for strategic planning, such as budgets, understanding total cost of ownership, understanding your IT footprint, tactical needs, disaster recovery, planning and response readiness, as well as your operational work management, inventory management, and IT goods and services use or your consumption rates. Now, according to Gartner, poor data quality is the main reason that 40% of all business initiatives fail to achieve their targeted benefits. A complete and accurate CMDB is a critical tool that can aid in that success. Mike, on this slide, I see we have another poll.
Yeah, thanks again, Eric. So this is our second and last poll question for the day. So we're hitting you guys kind of heavy up front with them. And I'm going to go ahead and launch it. And Ken, if you don't mind, if you could actually read this one out loud as well, but I think this one's kind of short and sweet. So if I remember this from memory, this poll question asks, how accurate is the data in your CMDB? So I'm going to go ahead and launch that right now. Hopefully everybody can see it.
And your choices are very accurate, I'm proud of it, pretty accurate, but could be better, not accurate enough, I have no idea because I had limited visibility, and the last choice is my organization does not have a CMDB.
Great. Thanks, Ken. So we'll give, again, everybody about 10 more seconds to vote here. And again, at this point, it looks like we're kind of, among those choices, kind of varied across the board. So kind of neat to see the diversity out there. So I'm going to go ahead and close this in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. And here are the results. So again, the question was, how accurate is the data in your CMDB? Unfortunately, we only had 1% of you say very accurate. I'm proud of it. 19% said pretty accurate, but could be better. 44% said not accurate enough. 14% said I have no idea because I have limited visibility. And then 21% said my organization doesn't have a CMDB. So again, this was our second and last poll for the day. So thank you to everybody who participated. We actually had 75% of you vote for this specific poll. We will be sure to include these results in our follow-up email to you next week, so you can use them as you'd like. So I'm going to go ahead and hide the results here. And I am going to pass the presentation off to Ken now.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks,
Let's quickly talk about the benefits of an accurate CMDB. We told you some of the barriers and some of the reasons why you should try to achieve that. Some of the direct benefits are reduced cost of incident resolution. So if you know what it is, where it is, and who owns it, you should expect the mean time to resolution and maybe even something as simple as an all-hands conference call to try to troubleshoot a particular incident. Reduced incidents can actually reflect with more accurate and reliable change. So if you have accurate CIs and accurate CMDB, you'll realize when you make a change what CIs and what services that change could impact. Increased productivity of IT staff. Accurate CIs and accurate CMDBs hopefully lessen those fire drills that we're all accustomed to. And it could be manual gathering of information and trying to correlate that with inaccurate, complete, and current CMDB, you have the latest source of truth to go off of to make IT decisions. And lastly, a direct benefit would be improved risk management. Well, we've all read the papers recently with some of the troubles that some large retailers have gotten into. An accurate CI and accurate CMDB tells your IT security staff and risk management staff what to patch, what to back up, what to monitor, what to protect with antivirus, and maybe even full disk encryption. So since we're doing all those things on the left, the direct benefits, the availability should go up. If you're monitoring and backing up everything that's Tier 1 and Tier 2 services, you're going to deliver a better service to your customers, both internal and external. Non-IT staff is more productive. Sales, marketing, finance, manufacturing, all of those services that you provide to those customers, they can expect a better level of service if you're maintaining and caring for a complete, accurate, and current CMDB. Improved IT governance, a solid source of truth, ensures that the organization is compliant and able to meet its goals and ultimately deliver the services they're contracted to do. And lastly, the last book of ITIL, Continual Service Improvement. I mean, obviously CMDB supports the other 4 books as well. And you know what? This doesn't happen overnight. And the poll definitely reveals that it's definitely not a sprint, but it's a marathon. So how does Blazant play into this picture? It really helps manage, maintain, and report on the complete life cycle of an asset and CI through your organization. And what do? Well, we accurately populate the CMDB. And you really have 3 different choices, and we have case studies we can share with you if we decide to talk in the future. You can, as Eric mentioned, start from greenfield. So we have a customer that started out with a complete blank database. They failed 18 months to deliver the CMDB to the organization. And within 6 weeks, Blazant was able to populate their CMDB through a variety of business rules and precedence rules and validation, 105,000 PCs and 30,000 servers and 8,700 network devices in 6 weeks. In addition, we also have the ability, since I'm going to have to say it, we have a B-word connector. We have a BMC connector as well. And we also have a ServiceNow connector. So we have organizations that actually migrate to the ServiceNow platform using the Blazant solution to get the data correct either on the BMC side or the last choice, get the data correct on the ServiceNow side. So if you can remember 3 things that Blazant really does with its ServiceNow fruition-coded business solution is we identify and remediate missing CIs, identify and remediate missing CI attributes, identify and remediate conflicting CI attributes. And since we're a reporting solution, we have all these wonderful tools, which I'll talk about in just a second. We have the ability to have more of a BI solution, a business intelligence solution that allows you to address root causes of where particular process gaps are occurring. So if you have to do ITIL retraining or ITSM training, those are the particular solutions that we can point out in a root cause. In addition, we have a seamless certified integration to ServiceNow that was co-written with Fruition. It was certified in August in 2013, and it not only allows you to point out and investigate all the gaps in your CMDB, but it also allows you a closed-loop process to remediate those, either through a ticketing process or through an automated, non-human invasive process. So throughout the entire life cycle, the robust analytics provide the visibility needed to maintain and care for the CMDB. So how do we do it? Well, as I mentioned before, we're a certified integration partner, and it's an update set that you can download from either Fruition or Blazant. And the key differentiator on probably what some people are doing in the world today is they might integrate 1, 2, or 3 sources. And that's pointed out with the gray boxes down below. So if we work from the bottom up, you might bring in your legacy system through a variety of spreadsheets or a dump of your legacy system. You might integrate with a discovery source, or maybe one or two sources like Active Directory or SCCM. And that's one way of going, but I can give you a real quick example. We were at a customer the other day that used the discovery process, and it was a little too wide open. They ended up with 7.8 million CIs, and then spent the next 6 weeks paring that down to 2.1 million CIs. At the end of the day, they noticed that they were still missing 3,000 of their 15,000 server CI footprint. What Blazin suggests is you have a variety of good data within your organization, from procurement, from a birth of an asset, through financial sources like fixed asset, warranty, maintenance, lease support, through a variety of operational tools like monitoring, backup, patch, distribution, antivirus, maybe even some network device information like Active Directory, DHCP, or DNS. All of those things have really good data. And what we allow you to do is a platform or a service or a solution that allows you to rank based upon a variety of business rules that says maybe it's the most frequent value, maybe it's the most recent value, maybe we can rank particular values. And at the end of the day, it gives you the ability to care for that all-important CMDB, which you've obviously seen a couple times before. It supports all these very important services to your organization. So over time, we would expect the CMDB to initially get fixed and to get better through the life cycle of the ITSM CMDB process. So our unique intellectual property is the Blazin IT Data Accuracy Engine. And it does a variety of things, but through those raw source inputs, and if you ever go to our website, you can see that I think we're up to 221 disparate sources that we brought into the system, and it does some aggregation and some validation, some error checking. It also does, I think Eric called it standardization, but we call it cleansing and normalization. We have the ability to do association, which is really key, because we're going to be miles beyond the traditional VLOOKUP or match or the single integrations into ServiceNow, because we actually match on 5 key asset attributes, which are asset name, asset tag, serial number, MAC address, and or IP address, which gives you the ability to consolidate all those disparate sources into a virtual view of what's truly out in your environment. And also we give you the ability to do indirect association, which really spreads the functionality that we can do with matching. We'll also identify nulls and missing conflicts and deduplicate. So once we get closer to the association between all these disparate sources, we actually can rank and score based upon our patented algorithms that I talked about a little before, with filters and weighting. And the end result is the gold record. That gold record compares to the system of record, the CMDB, and points out, once again, missing CIs, missing CI attributes, and conflicting CI attributes. And the ServiceNow Fruition co-branded connector, the solution, we actually give you the ability to ticket those issues or do an automated remediation of all of your defects in your environment. It all goes back to data quality, and if data is correct, your service level goes up. I just wanted to give you a real quick sneak peek of what the solution looks like. It actually is launched from ServiceNow, and your IT professionals and your service desk organization and your operational towers can all use this product. And this is actually one of 7 dashboards that we have as it relates to our data quality solution. This just happens to point out CI attributes that are in conflict. So you can see the largest number, if we go to the top left graph, the largest number, there's around 2,200 potential conflicts within serial number. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means that the value in the system of record, the source of truth in ServiceNow, differs from what's truly out there on the floor. because there's a variety of operational tools that actually can read the serial number out of the BIOS. And if we can give you an automated conduit to update that, a lot of people are happier, meaning IT asset management because they're depreciating the correct asset. Operations, they know what actually to go off of. And maybe even IT governance and audit, because now if I know what the correct serial number is, I can actually investigate that and get reports out of the system easier. We also have some asset name conflicts, which could be because it went through a migration or you virtualized it. So we'll point out those. And we can also point out, for example, conflicts in operating system. The real good example I like to give is sometimes I've seen in ServiceNow where the operating system is called Windows. And we know this thing is a server because we can tell from the model, et cetera. And if it's, for example, Patch Tuesday, and there's a vulnerability in Microsoft Windows 2008 R2, and that happens to be the operating system in conflict that we're showing here, if you use the CMDB to patch those particular operating systems, you're going to miss the CIs that actually say Windows. So with the solution that Blazant brings to the table, you actually can remediate all those particular defects and get the correct value, a trusted value, into your CMDB. And I see we've got about 4 minutes, so we just have a couple wrap-up slides, and we can also do some question and answer. So, Mike, I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. That was great, and thanks to you, Eric, as well. Yeah, so this does conclude today's webinar. Again, we wanted to keep it short and sweet, 30 minutes. So, like Ken said, we're going to, open up the floor to questions. So if you have any, submit them in that box. Because we only do have a few minutes left, we might only be able to get to one question. But please don't let that discourage you from entering your questions in the panel. All of those are being captured. So, once we close out today's webinar, I'm sure Eric and Ken will be more than happy to follow up with you directly after the webinar. So, just real quick, I'm sure you're wondering what you're looking at on the screen. We wanted to point out that both Fruition Partners and Blazant will be at ServiceNow's Knowledge Conference this year. Hopefully some of you out there are going as well. So if you are going, stop by our booth. I'm sure some of you, might be interested in learning a little more about CMDB data accuracy. So we'd be more than happy to do a private demo for you. But if you're only looking for cool swag, you can stop by our booth for that as well. And last but not least, we also are throwing a joint reception party Tuesday night, April 29th at the W Hotel, which is really close by to the Moscone Center. So this event is open to anyone attending Knowledge, so stop by with your conference badge for some networking, drinks, and relaxation. So I'm going to check the question box real quick. We actually had a question. We're getting a few coming in now, so we will be sure to follow up with everybody after the webinar. One of the first questions we got, though, was from George Payne. So thanks for the question, George. George asked, how does Blazant identify the owner or user of the device? And Eric, obviously feel free to chime in as well.
And Mike, I'm sorry, you kind of faded out.
Oh, geez. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Question was from George Payne, and he just asked, how does Blazant identify the owner or user of the device? And I had just said that, this is open to both you and Eric. Sure.
Yeah, with Blazant's unique ability to rank or order particular inputs from an owner for a particular device, I've seen before where we actually can bring in the force of the domain and we can find out the OU and who they're logged in as. That's one way, because we can also reconcile to HR records as well. In addition, that owner could be assigned to procurement, and hopefully through the direct association between those three different sources, they should match the owner, but if they don't, we can point out the discrepancy.
Great. Thanks, Ken. And it looks like we probably don't have time for another question, so apologies to everybody out there. But again, we will follow up with you personally after today's webinar. So just wanted to point out that, again, a recording of today's webinar will be shared with everybody early next week, along with a PDF copy of the deck. So be on the lookout for those resources. If a question comes to mind after today, or if you're interested in learning more about what was presented today, feel free to reach out to either of us, either Blazin or Fruition Partners. As you can see on the screen, our contact information is under the respective logos. So I do want to just make everybody aware of our next webinar, which is entitled Next Generation Asset Management and IT Financial Analytics, Optimizing IT Value in a World of Change. This webinar is actually being hosted and presented by EMA. However, Fruition Partners and Blazin contributed to the research that went into creating it. So registration is not available yet, but you can check out the Fruition Partners and Blazin websites in the near future, probably in early May, for more details about this webinar and to register. So that is it. I just want to say thanks again to everybody for joining today. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see everybody at the next webinar. Thanks, everybody.